hello. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome. Here we go. Pin in our comment. Hi, everyone. Hello. Come on, comment, pin. Welcome, everyone. Oh, there we go. Boom. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I always look forward to these. I hope y'all are feeling good. What's up? Hi, Joy. Hi, Farah. Hello. Hi, everyone. What's up? Hi, we're waiting for Tori to get in. I hope y'all are ready because we're about to get into it. Hey. Yes. Hi, everyone. Drop where you guys are coming from in the comments. Hello. Hi. Y'all, it is Monday, and I cannot believe it is already Monday. I'm like, every week, every time it comes. Yes, come on, Miami. I didn't know you were in Miami. Yes. Hello. Hi, everyone. Yes. Where else is everyone coming from? Yes. Hey, Tori just joined. What's up, girl? Yes. Here we go. Let's do it. San Francisco. Come on, Harlem. I see y'all. What's up? Hey, Al. It's Tori.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Do you have a ring light or something? Your face is like gold.
Yes, I do. I'm weak. Yes, I do have a ring light. It was like $15 on Amazon, and it's like the best investment I've ever made, y'all.
It looks so good.
Thank you, boo. You still look good. Ring light or no ring light, okay?
I know. I completely forgot that the daylight was going to be gone by the time, I was getting those late sunsets, but
yes, literally me. I feel like I'm about to embarrass myself. Is it daylight savings or when the sun goes away quicker, right?
Yes, something
okay.
like that.
Either way, I was like, I know I'm about to embarrass myself, but whatever, y'all work with me. I feel like, isn't it getting darker quicker than it has been? Like, am I making that up?
No, it's true. Like, I got like a like alert from like I think a weather app saying that like it was the last night that the sun was gonna set after 8 or something like that.
Okay, I'm like, am I tripping? Because I feel like, anyways, we won't even get into it because we're here to talk about manifesting. But you know me, I will go off on a tangent, Tori, and then next thing you know, we'll be talking about like hot dogs for an hour and a half, and you'll be like, Kanique, what are we here to even talk about? But yes, hello to everyone who is joining us for the first time, and for all of our repeat watchers. This is Master Manifestors. I'm Kanique. I'm the founder of Soul Sister Network, and the point of Master Manifestors is to raise all of our vibrations and talk to a wonderful woman of color about her experience with manifesting and living her best life and creating her goals and just kind of setting a goal and sticking to it. So when I thought about this, first off, I just want y'all to know this is a really long time coming. Like, the universe was just kind of like, all right, I want y'all to talk, but also like take your time. Because I think it's like episode 9, and I think I reached out to you around like episode 2, and it was just like everything was like, nah sis, wait. So I know exactly, right? Quarantine, and I had to go home. It was just a lot of rescheduling, moving around. But now I'm like, you know what? It's time. I know this conversation is gonna be great. You had another event last week that I gratefully attended for Grow by 3. And y'all freaking killed it. And I learned so many new things about your journey. And I was like, okay. So I'm excited for everyone here to learn more about you, what you do, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to let you do your intro. And I want you to tell me what you do, what you're passionate about, and just like who you are in general.
Okay, so my name is Tori, and I currently am an international marketing manager at Columbia Records. But I came from a long list of other kind of jobs between the music industry, on the touring side, on the digital marketing side, I literally actually worked like as an usher and a ticket salesman. Like that was like my first job ever.
Why did I not know that?
Because like I couldn't go back that far on that thing. I was like, I'll talk for days. But it was really awesome though, because that was like the first time, because I was like a sophomore or freshman in college. I was a freshman in college, and I grew up in Atlantic City, so the best place to have a summer job is a casino because you get paid $14 an hour.
Facts.
Like it was crazy. I was like 18, like rich for no reason. Like not rich, you know, I could buy a lot. Like $14 an hour.
Come on, $14 an hour, girl. Minimum wage at the time in North Carolina was like $7.25, and I was working as a waitress. And in North Carolina, they don't pay you minimum wage if you're a waitress. So technically, I was working at this place called Andy's. It was $3.13. So I would get my paychecks and be like,
that's one of the jobs.
And meanwhile, you are rolling. Like, okay.
That's like one of the jobs though I do wish that I had, because I think that you learn a lot about people and relationships and kind of like working with people when you know that you're completely right and the person is wrong, and kind of dealing with that as a waitress.
Girl. Okay.
I never did that. I had all my friends were waitresses like in high school and college, so I would see their struggles, and you know, it made me like, now I used to always, when I was younger, like just barely tip, because I'd be like, I'm young, I don't have any money. I would always tip. I never not tip, but I would definitely always do 15% on the scale. Now I'm just like,
me.
I gotta do 22 now. Like
that literally was me. Honestly, I'm not even gonna hold you. I didn't tip. Like I didn't become a tipper until like low-key, I know this sounds terrible, but I didn't become a tipper until like well after I was a waitress. Because keep in mind, I clearly wasn't making that much money. So I was like, look, I'm sorry. Like I gotta go.
You gotta help yourself first. It's like an airplane, like when you're on the airplane, like the mask falls down.
The mask, I'm like, look, sis, I am so sorry, but I'm struggling myself. But I will send you some prayers and like maybe look at your manager and say she did a good job. Like that was like the most.
Put a little smiley face on the receipt. But yeah, so that was like my first job, and when I was there, I was working a Kanye West show, and that was like crazy because it was actually like I had already. It was like nuts. It was like it was not part of the tour, so it was a very like exclusive, like hard to get ticket show, and I think he did 2 or. Well, I was working, and so
it don't matter, because when I upload it to like Instagram and Snapchat, you don't know the difference.
I know. You couldn't see my ugly like uniform. I looked like a movie theater person. I had a vest. Like it was so ugly. But like, but that was, I was like working the guest list for it, and like I saw that I was checking in all these people that worked at Complex, at like BET Vibe, and I was like, wait, like these people are getting paid to like go see Kanye West. Like that's crazy. So the next summer, I tried to like apply to like a Complex internship, but like it was one of those situations where I had like really no experience. So you know that whole thing, you want experience, and you're like, exactly. But this is an internship. Like what the heck?
Why do you want me to have 7 years of experience to get experience? But I digress.
Yeah, like it was. I definitely like went through that like several times, but this was like my first time being like understanding that you really need to kind of be in the right place mentally, but also like know people too. Like, you know, I was like, oh wow, you really need to have connections. So went to college and all that. Finally got a Complex internship my junior year, and that's kind of like what kind of brought me into the music industry. Even though in the middle I did a little Simon and Schuster stint for 3 years actually.
Yes, and we'll get into that because I have so many questions. So let's get into the questions, because I'm like, I have so many follow-up questions to what you said already. So before I start asking my questions, I just want to remind everyone, thank you again for joining us. If you joined us late, this is Master Manifestors on Soul Sister Network with the wonderful Tori. So before I start my questions, I want to just open it up to everyone and tell you that if you have specific questions for Tori, no matter what they're about, anything on her journey, just send them in the questions tab and I'll definitely get to them, because I want to make this like as conversational as possible, but I'm completely prepared to talk and ask questions the whole time. But I want y'all to be able to answer. I want y'all to be able to ask her the questions so she can answer them while you have her, because what I love about Tori's journey is that, you know, we'll get into manifesting. That's going to be my first question. Because like anyone who knows, if this is your first time coming, this entire thing is about manifesting and actively creating your best life, right? So we're going to talk to a new person every week to find out how they did it, tips that you can learn from them. So whether you want to be in the music industry or not, there definitely is something that you can learn from Tori and her story. And the biggest thing that I love about your story, Tori, I'm gonna let you get into it, but it's the persistence, sis. I mean, dang, sis put in her time. And I want to get into it a little bit later about your mindset and how you got through the doubts and all the uncertainty so that you could stay consistent, if that makes sense. Because I know if anybody out there has a goal, sometimes it's hard to stick with the goal if you're not necessarily seeing the results in your face. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love most about your story. So we will get into it. But first, I'm going to ask you, how did you find out about manifesting? And if so, like, you know, was it like, oh, this is manifesting? Or was it something that was like, yo, I've always been doing this. Okay, now there's just a word for it.
I would say I've always, like, my mom, like, she has always been, you know, very spiritual and into all different types of, like, she'd be the type of person, she's the type of person that, like, isn't, like, necessarily religious, but she'll, like, she kind of, like, sees religion and spirituality as, like, a buffet. Like, you take what you want and you leave what you don't want.
I love that. Low key, high key.
Yeah, and she's always been, like, you know, manifesting her entire life and, like, letting us know that, like, you know, that we should do it too, and always, like, making sure we believe in ourselves, but also instilling in us, like, that, you know, the thing about manifesting is it's not like you don't just, like, wait around and wait for stuff to magically happen. Like, you have to always be kind of doing the things that prepare you for what's going to happen, and that's kind of what I always try to do.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, and then the first time I actually, like, put a name to manifesting was when I was in high school, and I read, it's gonna sound so basic, but I read The Alchemist.
No, let me tell you something. That was my first book too. So you are not by yourself. Like, let me tell y'all, if y'all, and I've talked about this before, it seems really basic, but most people who come and they're like, oh, I read this book or I experienced this, it always is either The Secret or The Alchemist. And they
Secret, I forgot about The Secret.
They seem really basic, right? Because it's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, that was like your introduction. But it is a great place to start. Like, let me tell y'all, if y'all have not read The Alchemist, do it. The Alchemist is life-changing. I love that book. I will sing about it, like, forever.
It's like, and it's funny because, like, my dad was the one who put me onto that book.
Because, mine, like, too. That's so funny. Dad and Alchemist?
I think like, he literally was, like, at the airport, like, when in like 89, I think, like, sometime way before I was born, not way before, but before I was born, and he, like, got the book at the airport and read it, and it, like, changed his life. And and then he, like, my parents met because he was on a business trip in Indonesia. And so he, like, read this book, got to Indonesia on his little business trip, met my mom at a dance club, and, like, you know, it kind of a manifestation of sorts happened. And he would always just say, you need to read The Alchemist. And I finally did. And it kind of, like, I read it, but I didn't really, like, get it until college when I was kind of more, like, I guess, alert. And I was able to, like, kind of take life by the reins of my own hand. So then I ended up, like, you know, really just getting into it in college. And also The Secret too. My dad was also really into The Secret and writing stuff down.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. That's it. That's the whole vibe. Like, being Mary Jane way before being Mary Jane was, like, a thing. Like, I was doing the whole Post-it notes everywhere. And then when I saw it on, I don't know if you watched that show when it was on BET with Gabrielle Union, but when I saw her posting everything, I was like, girl, get in line. But I digress. But yes, okay, the comments are going off. She said, all sounds like he manifested your mom. He probably did. That's what it sounds like. That's probably why he was like, oh, girl,
he was a nerd too. My mom was a cool lady. She was like, she's always been a hustler. Like, so she was, like, you know, 25,
wearing, to get it, like, from somewhere,
head to toe, from like kind of just a more, like, village-like area of Indonesia, but like, you did PR for, like, hotels, like Mandarin Oriental and stuff. So she was out here, and he manifested her at a dance club. You know that song, that, like, Rick Astley song, the Rickroll song?
Yes.
Never gonna give you up. That was their song. That was the song that was on, like, when they met.
What a song. Oh my God.
I told my parents that like their whole marriage was a Rickroll, and they were so pissed. They're like, shut up, you're so rude.
You remember when that was like a meme online, and like no matter what you clicked, everything was like a clip from that video? That I might be like aging myself, but that was like way back in like the 90s when I was like had to use like dial-up internet, whatever.
But
I digress.
the coolest thing, I think YouTube during that time, they made every single video on the front page of the Rickroll video. That was epic. I love corporate trolling.
It was, what a time. What a time to be alive. And that was when like the evolution of dance was like the #1 video on YouTube. Do you remember that? The guy in the red shirt that was, girl, I need to go back. I wonder how many views that video has. Anyways, again, I digress. I just want to flag 2 things people said in the comments. Someone said that every time they read The Alchemist, they get something new. And I don't know if you have reread it lately, but it's so true. That's why I love that book. I always tell people, if you like buy one book, The Alchemist is such a great like one book to have about manifesting, because every time you read it, one different quote will pop out, or like one different part of his journey will pop out. I won't ruin the book for anybody who hasn't read it, but just read it because I love that. And then also someone shouted out the book, The 4 Agreements. And if you guys have not read that book, let me tell you, you don't even have to buy it. Like, I'm totally here for supporting authors for sure, but it's such a popular book that it's online as a PDF. The same thing as like The Alchemist too. But if you Google The 4 Agreements PDF, you'll find it. And it's such a short book. Y'all could probably read that tonight. Like, I kid you not. I think it might be, not even. I think it might be like 80 or like 60.
With
and
the
it's
thick paper.
Yes, with the thick paper, and the font is like 3rd grade, like triple spaced, and it's just kind of like, who wrote this book? But I digress because it's so simple. That's what I like about it. It literally, the entire book is just 4 principles. That's it. Just boom, 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 boom. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I know the one that stuck out to me the most because I needed to hear it the most was don't take things personally.
Yes, that's the one that
girl
I
that
with me all the time. It made
that liberated me in such a way, because it was basically like nothing anybody does is ever truly because of you. It's because of them. And I was like, that seems like dumb. How is that? But then the more I grasped it, I was like, wow, like maybe that person yelled at me, but maybe it's not even about me. Maybe it's about them. Maybe they had like a really shitty day, or like maybe like who knows what they have going on, or like if a person is like, you know, like a cheater, if you're in a relationship and a person cheating on you all of a sudden and you go, oh God, it's personal, it's me. Well, really, no, but it's you. It's like them. You know what I mean? And it's like them projecting their insecurities onto you. It's so much. But get into the 4 Agreements. If don't take anything personally resonates with you, please read that. And you could just read that one chapter. And again, that one chapter is probably 15 pages. I kid you not. And y'all will be like, dang, I did something. I read a book. All right. That's how I felt when I read it. And it was a really good book to start with if you're not a reader, because I'm not a reader. Or at the time I wasn't. So I had like read like one book like every like 5 years. And the last book I read was like The Scarlet Letter in like English in 9th grade, because I would like spark notes all the other books that I did.
College just went right by you. God, didn't touch one book.
No, girl, I sparked, what is it? No, there's one in college called Schmoop. I don't know if anybody knows about Schmoop. It was really like low key. I never told anybody else about it. They should sponsor me low key, because I put a lot of people onto them after I graduated, but I didn't want anybody to know the tea at the time, because I was like, if we're walking into the same class, we can't have the same paper. So I waited to give like the younger people that little tea. Again, I'm on a tangent, but law, The Alchemist and the 4 Agreements. Again, yes, the Pharaoh. Shout out to Spark Notes. Yes. Okay, so manifesting. I want to get into it. I want you, Taylor, Kanika's cheating. Yes, I was. But at the time, I didn't call it cheating. I always, even in high school, I called it surviving. So that is like what helped me mentally. I was like, no, I'm not cheating, boo. I'm surviving. I'm a Black woman out here. They don't want to see me win. Like, I was DJ Khaled before DJ Khaled was like DJ Khaled.
To be honest, even at Syracuse, like I feel like that school really, like, if you didn't come out of there finessing something, then you kind of like you could tell who rose.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Girl, first off, I graduated with honors, but it was barely. It was like by like the skin of my teeth. And I was gladly surviving. So I'm like, look, a girl got to do what a girl got to do. I want this core when I graduate. So, I mean, I digress.
I
Um,
just remember like I had like a like panic attack in Whitman like during a finance exam. That was it was so hot in there
me,
in
that
the
was
basement,
me.
and like I like it was one of those tests that was it was great. It was on the computer, so as soon as you were done, it was already graded.
It told you. It was like,
It was like 50, and I was like, it was my final, and I was like, wow, I really just got a 50 on my final. But luckily, one time when I was like, I got like a week before, I got like really like drunker than I wanted to be. And like, I felt so guilty the next morning. So I was like, I need to do something redeeming. So I went and took like the mock exam. It was like a practice exam, and he said if you got a good grade on it, then you could like average it out to your other thing. And I was so happy that I did that. But the thing that I
yes.
actually finessed was, for some reason, I got a lot. I did pretty good on that mock exam, but that was like a written test, so that's probably why.
Okay.
And I just asked him to just delete the 50 like completely. I was like, I was stressed. I was in that basement. I was
That
sweating.
finesse.
And he was like, you know what, you're right. And like you came in on a Saturday to take that mock exam, like that shows like, well, and I was like, thank you,
Thank
I
you
think
so
my
much.
friend was Roger. Shout out Roger.
Wait, his name was Roger?
Yeah.
Or was it Raju?
Roger.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, girl, because I had a professor, and his name was Raju, and his class was hell. So I was like, and he taught like an Excel class. I won't even get into it. If anybody didn't go to Syracuse, I'm so sorry. But like, Whitman was like my main, like that was like my regular school. So I was in that hellhole every day, girl, and I was struggling. And I was the president of the school. I digress.
I know,
I
you're
was
in the pamphlets and everything.
surviving like this.
In your best business cash.
I was whole time I was finessing them niggas like what that's another thing too. Like if you become like a little bit high up, you can finesse. So it was easy for me to be like, oh, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm sick, because then they were like, Kanique would never lie. She would never do this. I'm really giving like all my tea on this. Because I was the president of my high school too, so I finessed doing that too in high school. Honestly, it's a learned behavior, but again, I survived, and that's what counts. And I manifested that through surviving. So, yeah. But right, bless up. Keep sending in your questions, y'all. So the first question I have for you is I want you to tell us a little bit. So like you manifested, that was great. Like I'm sure you took those tools with you here and there, right? How did you keep your mindset right when what you were manifesting took a long time to like come? It took you a while to see like the fruits of your labor, if that makes sense. And then I'll let you tell a little bit more now about your experience working for the 3.5 years outside of the music industry.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I just tried to remind myself was to not think too largely about the whole kind of the overwhelmingness of what I wanted to do and what I was currently doing, and really just focus more on how these particular tasks would allow me to kind of grow into the role that I eventually wanted to do. And going back to like my first real like job out of college was at Simon and Schuster. Shout out to my former coworker Metin, who I think is in here.
Yes,
But
hi.
it's so funny because my personality, me and him were the two people who like did not have a publishing personality. And if you'd have to like, publishing people have like this very particular like personality, just the same way music industry people do, fashion people do.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that was my first job, and the reason why I was able to get it was when I was at Complex interning. I interned like between the managing editorial department and the kind of just like content. Like this was at the time where they were kind of moving from a magazine to digital like world.
Yep. I remember that time.
So I did like a ton of different things, and hold on, wait, sorry. This is like real time music stuff happening.
Oh no, you good, girl. Take care of work. Hey. Yes. Oh, that's sweet. Tori's the reason I survived. I love that. Also, like Alyssa and him are like having like a huge reunion down here. So hey, I love that. Yes, Soul Sister bringing people together. Yes, come on, people. I interned there too. Yes, y'all keep dropping your questions in because I definitely want to ask them. Right now is a great time to drop them. And then for anybody who has joined us since then, again, this is Soul Sister Networks. Master Manifestors, thank you for joining us. You good, girl, or you still need some time?
No, I'm good. I'm good now. I just have to like send a quick ping.
Okay.
So yeah. So basically, I worked in between those, and a lot of the tasks that I was doing was actually quite similar to the production of a book. So I knew I wanted to move to New York City. That was like the first step in just getting everything, getting me in the right physical place to get my. And at this time, to be honest, I really didn't know what I wanted to do in music either. So I knew I wanted to be in marketing, but I was also applying to like pretty much anything. I applied to some random like finance job at Genius. And in the interview, I was just sort of like, that's when I took a pause, but I'll go back to that later. But so I learned that I was like, okay, like I could definitely take this job and learn what it's like to work in a corporation. Because if I want to work at a record label or something, I know that there's a lot of just different nuances of what happens when you're working in a corporate environment and not like in a small independent whatever. So I did that, and after about like a year and a half, I got super like antsy, and I was on Instagram and just watching all of my friends and peers doing all these jobs that they wanted, and it just occurred to me that like I don't need that job title to like do a job. It's like especially here in New York, like you really can make like you're the most of your network. So I just remember meeting Lindsay. Shout out to Lindsay Hart at Move Forward Music. I met her at Trelectro in 2016, and I just remember like she had this warm personality, and it was just something that she just really stuck out to me. And I remember she worked at Move Forward Music, and then after kind of like doing like some research, I realized, oh my God, I like used to go to Move Forward Music like shows all the time when I was younger. They had this huge party called House Party that was at Webster Hall. It was like the whole it was every Thursday night, the hip hop night at Webster Hall. It was crazy.
Webster Hall.
Yeah, no, rest in peace. Like now it's like the new Webster Hall, I guess. But yeah, so I reached out to her about an internship, and I ended up interning under her, and it was really awesome. And it ended up turning into like them bringing me on board to the team, and that's where I really got a ton of hands-on experience, and just meeting a bunch of people every night. Mind you, I was still working at Simon Schuster, and like I would come back to I'd like stay out until like 2 a.m. like at the door of like SOBs or Shemansky. I just remember specifically one time, like it was this like Dave East like party at Shemansky, and like he had like 50 people he was trying to get in. It was
my God, working the door. Let me tell you something. Working the door at any hip hop event, it was
amazing. I loved it though. It kind of was like that like gritty New York experience that like I always wanted to have. So then after doing that for like, and there I did like I was at the actual shows and running like the guest list and all that, but I was also doing a lot of digital stuff, writing like recaps on the blog, creating like social schedules, and working with the team just to kind of like make sure everyone knew like Move Forward Music was like the hip hop promoter here in New York. And that kind of prepared me for my next journey at Def Jam. But I will say, like, there was this was through a long period of time. And I think like I've always thankfully been quite patient of a person. I'm not like the type of person that if I fail or something, I kind of like look down. Like I failed tons of times in my life. Shout out to being bad at math. But like ever since fifth grade, it was always like failure, win, failure, win, failure, win. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. I just have to text.
No, girl, you good.
See, this is like what is the real tea about music industry.
Okay, let me tell you something, Tori. You have to respond. I'm not even gonna hold you. That is one, because I've said this so many times on the channel, but for anybody who doesn't know, my experience prior to Soul Sister Network is all in like music and entertainment. So this used to be me, and I'm not even gonna lie, sis. I'm not gonna hold you. Sometimes I miss like the excitement of it all. but I don't miss people hitting up my phone at like 1 and 2 in the morning and calling me with emergencies. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, uh, I don't miss that, but I do miss the thrill of it. You know, like
I remember when you like invited me to. I always tell Derek this because it was just such like a special. I don't know if it was like the energy, if it was you. I'm sure. I mean, it was definitely part of you, but you and the energy. It was that Kiana Lede listening party. I just remember it was such a beautiful night.
It was such a beautiful night, and the tea was that like the press people had a lot of people who like fell through like that day at like 12 or 1 because there was like a competing event all of a sudden that popped up out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden nobody was going to come. So the girl on the press team was like, do you have anybody that can, you know, fill up the space? I said, do I have anybody? Say less. I went to Syracuse, girl. Give me a minute. And that's why when you got in there, it was literally like, I think 40 Syracuse people in there. And I know people were like, how does Kanique know everybody in there? It low-key felt like a party for me that Kiana Lede just happened to be like performing in. But it was so dope. I was like, yes. But the energy of that night, it was just everything. I was like, yes. But I do remember that day. And the venue was so beautiful. I forgot the name of that place. I forgot the name of that place.
It's at the hotel where.
Yes, I've been there a couple of times too. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. I can't remember the name of it, but it's beautiful and it's New York City. It's like near Bowery or something like that.
Yeah, it's in the whatever hotel, the 60. It's in the 60.
Yes, the 60 hotel. So if anybody's in the mood for a rooftop vibe, definitely look. Come on, Derek. The 60. He knew. Yes. Okay, I'm just gonna read this while we have it here. It says, I'm gonna just say, Tori really is one of the hardest workers I've ever met. Working in publishing literally all day, then working all night for MF Music right after. Her work ethic and dedication is crazy. That is a fact. Okay, that's a fact.
But like we would always, and like what was great is like I don't really know what I would have done if I didn't have like that homie to like sit there and like tell me that like I wasn't like crazy for wanting to do a completely different job. So shout out to you, Matt. And Derek, my boyfriend, was a huge springboard and inspiration, and he always just tells me like, you know, he just remembers me at that time, and I was just so, I guess, like I just wanted it. I mean, I still want everything I do so bad, but you know,
because I met you around that time, and I met you when you were still there, and you were like, I'm trying to figure out how to get in, but I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I was like, she's going to make it in. And it's so funny because I think I thought I saw you in the lobby as I was leaving for work or like going on break or something like that one day. And I was like, I don't know if that's her or not, but I only got 2 minutes for this lunch break. So I got to make it to Chipotle and back. And I think I texted you after I was done. You know how the days are.
Yes.
So I was like, yo, like, did I see you downstairs? And you were like, yeah, I'm interviewing, yo, like, wish me luck. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. And then you got the job, and you were like, yo, I'm about to be in the building. And I was like, that's crazy because today's my last day.
I know, I was so sad.
I know, I was like, girl, like, you got this, so I am out. What a time. I'm going to flag one thing that you said earlier. You said patience is key. And I just want to anybody out there who's manifesting something. I know people say patience all the time, and it's hard to have patience when you're like really at your wit's end, especially when you're in like, for me, it was hard for me to have patience when I was in a job that I really didn't like. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but it's like sometimes you feel like really inspired, you know, and sometimes, like you said, it's really important the people that you surround yourself with in your circle, because your circle will breathe life into you when you need it the most. It will give you like, you don't always need external validation, but your circle will give you that validation to be like, no, you're not crazy that you want this. 2, you can do this. And 3, it's already coming to you, sis. Like, you got this, right? So for anybody else who might be in that same situation you were in right now, and you're like, look, I'm trying to manifest this new job, or like, I'm trying to manifest like my spouse even, like, because again, you talk about Derek, but like, I know you and Derek have been together for a long time, and you guys, like, again, outside looking in, y'all just seem so aligned, right? And it's so beautiful to watch a person, right? So even anybody who wants to ask about a relationship or whatever that might be, what advice can you give them? Like, anybody who feels like they're not where they want to be, but they're getting kind of close. Like, what advice can you give to them about patience?
My biggest advice would be to really just try and reframe your thinking as much as it's hard. It's easier said than done.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
You know,
it is.
But it's one of those things that, you know, when you're single, like I was like I had the shortest, probably not most horrible, because a lot of people have a lot worse dating experiences here in New York. But I was like
Mm-hmm.
single for probably like 6 months or so before I met Derek right after
Mm-hmm.
college. And I did the whole like Tinder, like online dating situation, and I quickly realized that like there was just so much of dating that was lost there, but of my
Mm-hmm.
personality. I think that a lot of guys here in New York, they kind of like basically however these men in New York treat you is really something that collectively is their problem. Like that's not even like there's something very weird, because I just
Yep.
have so many
Yep.
like
Yep.
incredible like friends, relatives, my sister, every single person who has all these horror stories, and I'm just
Yep.
like, I did too for like 6 months, so it's not like,
Horror stories, girl. I'm like, who hurt y'all? Like, that's
oh
like almost every man in New York City, and I'm just kind of like, okay.
yeah. So I would say like the biggest thing is kind of like that the one of those fourth agreements. I don't know, is it the third one? I don't remember. The one of like number one, not taking it personally. Like don't
Mm-hmm.
throw it back on yourself unless there is like you also have to have self-awareness too. Like
Exactly. There's a
that's the huge
difference.
and it's funny when I like studied abroad in London and when I was in college. Like one of the
Wait,
that
what year
was
did you study abroad? Your junior year?
20. I graduated in 2015. I studied abroad 2014. I think you were the
Okay.
semester after me.
I was. I think I was semester after you. Why didn't I know that? Anyways, go
I
ahead.
know.
Continue.
So when I was there, like I like randomly just went, like I didn't really like go on I had just like gotten out of a not a long
Mm-hmm.
relationship, but a bad relationship. And so I wasn't really trying to date or anything, but randomly I decided to like go on Tinder, and I met this like one dude, and he was it was a very platonic like situation
Mm-hmm.
actually, because like over there Tinder, just at least back then, it didn't have the connotation that it has here now. Like people,
Facts.
the way of dating, at least like for a majority of people, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Francine, London study abroad. So funny. Yeah, I lived with Francine.
I love it.
It was
Yes,
the
come on,
best.
Francine. Hey, girl.
So when I was there, I just had like one conversation with this guy named Christian, maybe. I don't remember. Sorry. I hope he's not watching. But he kind of like, we had one conversation. We were walking through the park, and he was just saying like, like I really think it's like great how like self-aware you are for being like
Mm-hmm.
so young. We were both the same age. Like we were both 21. And I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, was always kind of pretty thankful, and that's always something that I always wanted to work on, mostly to manage the expectations of my life. Like, for me,
Yes.
it's like, you don't want to get your hopes up all of the time and then find yourself like having that emotional moving up and
Yep.
down. Like sometimes I'm
Yep.
happy, sometimes I'm sad.
Yep.
I try to stay pretty neutral even during my successes, like, and
Mm-hmm.
I should celebrate my successes more, which I'm working on. But for the most part, I think it's like really just knowing yourself, trying to neutralize your emotional kind of
Yes.
reaction to things. But yeah, I mean, that would be my advice. It was kind of a long-winded way to say
No,
that.
but I love that. I love that. To neutralize your emotions, because that honestly helps. Like I'm gonna butcher this quote. Um, but the quote base again, gonna butcher it, but it basically implies that like if you give people the power to make you feel good, you also give them the power to like make you feel bad. So that kind of reminds me of you talking about being neutral. So basically the quote is talking about like if a bunch of people come to you praising you like, yeah, girl, you the shit, that's what's up. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you get really big and you make like
Mm-hmm.
praise and that kind of stuff really important to you. You also give the people the power to make you feel opposite. So it's like if you don't get praise all of a sudden, then it's kind of like what's wrong and blah blah blah. So I think
Exactly.
I think that's an easy way to try to focus on making your emotions neutral. I also want to flag a couple of things that people brought up in the comments. Someone asked, because I mentioned a tribe earlier and the importance of like having a tribe. So someone commented, like, if you don't have a tribe, like, what are some tips that you can have about, I guess, like, being cognizant of what you're surrounded by? And I can give a little bit of advice for me. I feel like I'm lucky enough to always have a tribe. And if I don't have like a tribe for exactly what, because what I do is I like look to the people in my tribe for inspiration about different things. You know what I mean? Like the same person I go to like cry my eyes out because I'm stressed isn't necessarily always the person I go to for like business advice. And that person wasn't the same person I went to when I needed a good grade in the class. And that person isn't the person I go to when I need like someone who's going to be like, can you get to it? You need to be consistent, right? So I have friends that kind of speak to different things in my life. So what I do, if I can't find a friend who has something that I'm trying to model, I'll find honestly like an influencer or a celebrity to look at, or I'll be cognizant about who I'm following on my social media pages. And that helped me out a lot. Once I went and like cleaned through my social media pages and like was cognizant about like what I was consuming digitally, that raised my vibrations almost immediately. Like, because I realized there's nothing wrong with the shade room, but I realized I was following like 10 pages that were just like the shade room. So everything I was looking at all day long was so shady, Shady McGee, gossip in the city, shade room, like, you know, the executive tea. And I'm over here just like, yep, taking it all in. And I was like, you know what? That doesn't make me feel good. Like, let me follow some inspirational people. And that was like a really quick way. I don't know if you have anything that's different to add to that, but that was a really quick way for me to be like, okay, this is a way for me to get some inspiration outside of myself to tell me to keep going when I'm stressed out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. I think that, like, you know, I've never been someone who necessarily, like, has, like, a huge tribe. Like, I kind of have, you know, I obviously have, like, a ton of, I have a lot of different, like, multiple tribes in different kind of pockets of my life, which is really just to kind of add balance to my life, because in the music industry, like, you know, it's very hard to find tribes of people that are very genuine and actually there for you outside of what your job is. I mean, I've seen it from like afar. Like, you know, it's one of the hardest places where, you know, you see someone like leave a job and all of a sudden, like, no one hits them up anymore. Or like, they're like,
you're telling my story. All these people all day long, you talk to them and y'all BFF. And then the moment you leave a place, it's like, oh, who?
Yeah. Like the amount of people that I've heard like say that, like, you know, hey, like as soon as I like left the city, or as soon as I like left that job, and no one needed to hit me up for access to XYZ, then it was like I didn't have like any friends anymore. And for me, like, I'm just like not that good at maintaining surface level relationships, if that makes sense. Like if I don't
so much sense.
Yeah, like if I don't feel like there's some type of, you know, vibration going on, then like I'm also okay with transactional like friend relationships or whatever.
Once you realize the difference, it's power, and like realizing like, oh, we talking, girl, but we ain't like cool. We just like cool because we both had the same job, and we like cool because I need something from you and you need something from me. So like, let's do this, and then we can like keep on moving with our lives.
Exactly. And going back again to like the 4 agreements, is like in the music industry, one of the biggest pieces of advice is kind of being at peace with that, and kind of not making it a reflection of you, of your performance at your job, of your personality, of you not being cool enough, not being outside enough, all of those things. So like,
because that'll get to you. Being outside enough is like a big thing. Like, I don't know what it is about the allure of the music industry. You got to feel like you got to go to every single event every night. And I'm like, look, I already work until like 11 p.m., 12 a.m. I can't, you know, go to this thing in Manhattan, like uptown, and then still go home to go to Brooklyn to be back at work at 9. Y'all, I'm sorry. I don't like hustle clearly, because you're like, yeah, you know, I'm at this event till 2. I'll be like, look, girl, I got to go to bed. I'm sorry. Like.
And then you just end up like, you know, even on the days that you do go out, you end up like spending too much money on like an Uber home, or
girl, because I'm an assistant. Who is paying me? I don't got the corporate card yet, you know, so I'm like, who's paying for this? Because it's not me. But that would be my ultimate finesse. Anytime I would go somewhere, I would always link up with a VP who had a corporate card, and I would just hang around them the whole time, and then they would end up buying the drinks, and I would be like, thanks, bye. Because y'all can expense it. You know what I mean? Like, just pretend like I'm a client.
I need Last Lab to like break down how many of their charges or whatever were corporate cards of labels.
Thanks, girl. All those bottles. Okay, like, please give me a Bleacher Report, because I'm sure 80% of it is the label. I digress. I would be like, oh, because I'm not paying $15 for a drink at SOBs. Like, y'all got me really twisted. but this
Yeah.
corporate card will. So.
So yeah, so basically,
Yes,
to
I
go back
love
to
it.
the tribe question, you don't be caught up, if you don't have a tribe, don't be caught up in thinking
That
you need one,
exactly,
because one person can
exactly.
be the tribe too. Like, for the longest time, me and like my friend Lauren were like a tribe of, I think for the most part, a lot of the times it ends up being like our little tribe of two. And it's like
Yes,
fun. And it's fun. Obviously, Derek is like automatic tribe. And like, I have all
yes.
these like different, I have my SOBs tribe. I'm not going to name all my tribes, but like I have all these different tribes. But at the core, like the person that I text at like very frequently, who it works in the music industry, and we just talk about each other's lives, is like very few people.
Exactly, same. And I honestly, like, I didn't trust anybody at my job. So I would just like invite like my core people. And my core people ended up being one friend all the time. She didn't even work in music. So she was just always around, and people would be like, so it'll be the funniest thing. I'll be like, so what do you do? And she'll be like, I work at Macy's. And they'll be like, okay. Because of course exactly. So of course everything is transactional. So all these people are meeting her like, okay, great. So like, do you represent an artist? Are you with partnerships? Like what? And she's like, nah, like I'm on the buying team. And they'll be like, dope, bye. And that's Max the Blush Beauty. She knows what I'm talking about. She went to so many events with me. Like she went to like designers like album opening, like every event I ever threw for Cash Money. I'm pretty sure she knew Jacquees like by name by the time like I ended up leaving. Yeah, crazy. Always with me.
I always think about like the best thing actually is to not work in the industry and have friends in the music industry, because then you could actually have fun at these parties. Like,
yeah, because you can turn up. Like all my friends, I would invite them to my events, and they would be like, I remember I had like one event. Damn, what was the name of that event? Oh, we got now. And it was the first, yep, and it was the first event. Yes, it was the first event that we had, and I was like, oh, it's about to be lit, and I was like, I'm running the guest list. All my people coming. What's up? And then all my friends were just in the middle of the party, like, hey. And you know how they do like a recap video after every event? It was just my people in the video. And I was like, dang, it really looked like I had a good time. But meanwhile, I was in the back frantic. I was like, dang, they were living their best life. Like, and it was open bar, so they really enjoyed themselves. I was like, must be nice, because I'm over here stressed with a T at the end. Okay. Yes. Okay, we have a question. First off, it's already 8:48 and I'm mad. This is a pretty good one. This says, why international marketing versus other marketing departments in music? I love that.
I personally think that all marketing, every single job at a record label is marketing. That's
a fact. And that's a fact. It's a fact. Because marketing is like, honestly, just like promotion, but it also is just product management. It's not a lot that you do in marketing at a label. It was just me being like, hey, international marketing, what are your numbers? Hey, press, what's your numbers? I was just like the person that was like asking all the questions for the most part, and putting it onto a one sheet.
Yeah. And I mean, I came from the digital marketing background, which, I love so much. Like, I think that kind of the most important parts of key campaigns between like, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, Doja Cat, DaBaby, all of the Lil Nas X, all of these artists are people who have really captured the attention and consistently are able to do it. So that's what, like, I actually like fell in love with the digital marketing aspect of the music industry first. But then I started to realize, especially with TikTok and everything, how global the music, kind of music was being in general, especially hip hop. Like for the longest time, other markets, like, certain European markets, Asian markets, like they really wouldn't give hip hop a chance. They didn't really get it. And it's still like, now that I work in international marketing, I can kind of see the different, I guess, divide and kind of like, there's still a cultural gap in a way.
For sure.
Up and a lot of these other countries, and I just found it interesting for me to be able to be that person that, like, I do understand the American and hip hop point of view, but I also come, like, my mom's Indonesian, my dad is American, grew up in like the suburbs of Philadelphia, so I understand the nuance of like what it looks like to consume American music in a different country. So I really just wanted to, it's a skill set also that's very, I always, one of my biggest pieces of advice is find a skill set that a lot of people don't have and learn that, because then that's how you get leverage. Like,
that's true.
How many people do you know that are like geniuses at marketing hip hop, American hip hop and R&B in other countries?
Yep.
Probably not very
Not
many.
a lot.
So I found
that's
that
really good advice.
And you could always like go back and forth, no matter like when, like, you know, in marketing, if you know like a lot, like, you know, if you know little parts about different parts of marketing, then you can kind of move around whenever you see fit.
Exactly.
And the perspective is always there.
Yes, and I love that, because that's what I ended up doing. I started out, and all of my experience was in marketing, which basically is just product management. So I was talking to so many different departments. And then I was like, you know what? I feel like I like brand partnerships more. So when I left the label, I like moved over to brand partnerships and did that at a couple different companies for about 2.5 years. And then I learned, actually, I don't like brand partnerships. But that's okay, because we narrowed it down. Now we know what we don't like. And then eventually I was like, I'm just gonna make my own company. So now we're here. But for me, but I always loved international marketing, and I love the advice that you gave about mastering something that a lot of people don't understand, because you're right, that's leverage. And I feel like that can be tied into so many different types of things in life, particularly about like moving up in a job or trying to start like a business of your own. If you can master like an area or bring like a certain expertise to something that people truly don't understand, that's the key, and that's the power. Exactly. Yes. So thank you, Madeline, for that question. It already is 8:52, and I'm tight because I feel like I have so many more questions
we should do a ask you. Round.
I know, lightning round. Okay. No, I don't want that to be one of my last questions. Okay, how do you stay like aligned and in flow when you're like manifesting something?
I just am a big balance person. I just make sure every single thing that I'm doing is like even too much good cannot be good, if that makes sense.
So that is a fact, because then it'll be too high, and then things will feel unrealistic for a little bit. And the first bad thing that happens, you're done. Like
exactly. Like the higher you go, the further the fall is. So it's just kind of like, balance.
Yes, balance. I love that. So like, how do you stay balanced? Like for me, something that always like brings me back balance, honestly, it sounds really cheesy, but like putting on a good song and dancing to it or listening to good music puts me there. Like it takes me there. I don't know what it is. I think it's because like I'm like super dramatic. So I feel like in a way my life is a movie. So anytime I put on a song, I feel like I'm like in a movie scene, and I just feel like I'm like living my best life at all times. So yeah, like that's how I like raise my vibration really quickly. So like, what about you?
I read a lot. Like I'm really into I love true crime. So I just like will web sleuth too. Like all my close friends know that I'm like a big, like one of the things that attracted me to digital actually is that I'm very good at like creeping online. Like if you, it's honestly like, it's just the adrenaline rush. Like if you just like, I remember like people would say like, hey, like I met XYZ, all I know is his first name. Like, can you like basically run a background check? And I would do it. And it would have like, or like one of my like, friends who I will not name, she was like keeping like someone she was dating, like kind of like, you know, when you like, when it's early on, I guess you don't really want to disclose names or anything, but I'll never forget, like I found him and I had a screen, I think I sent her a screenshot of like an old picture of him and she was like, fuck you. That's what it's like to be my friend. Like you just get random.
I love it. Random old screenshots. Like, why are you the way that you are? I definitely do that.
Like, and I'm like notorious. I'll just do it at night. Like you wake up in the morning, forgot we even had the conversation, and it's just like.
Yes. Also, I don't know why I just used the word notorious, but now is that your name on anything?
I always thought about it, but then Tori Spelling has a book called that, and like Tori Spelling, like no shade to her, but I don't really like fuck with her that much. So I was like,
I hope she's watching this. Tori Spelling want all the fucking smoke. I'm weak. Not Tori Spelling. I'm over here. I feel like I'm like a wording wizard. I'm like notorious. Whoa, has she thought of that before? Or did I just bless her? Like, I thought I blessed you, and you're like, no, girl, that's my name. Like, been there, thought of that. Tori Spelling has a book.
I think every, like, variation of the word Tori in a word, she has a book. Like, she has one called, like, storytelling and, like, the Tori. I was like, okay, you went too far with that one.
Not storytelling. I'm weak. I love it. Now I'm trying to figure out what is the book about. But I digress.
Tori Spelling's life, I guess.
Okay, like, but honestly, like, no shade to Tori Spelling, but like, who cares? But
I mean, 90210 fans, I guess, but I didn't know.
That's true.
She was the old one though. I watched
That's
like
true.
the new one, so
That's true.
I can't relate.
That's true. Let me not throw. Why am I throwing smoke at Tori Spelling? She's never done anything to me. That's really crazy. I don't have beef with sis. I hope her people don't see this.
I mean, at least you get an Us Weekly article, probably.
That's true. Social Network declares war on Tori Spelling. I'm gonna wake up to that tomorrow.
Next thing you know, like, the views will skyrocket. You'll be like, damn, like, what happened?
I've been trying to go viral. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Which is something I've been manifesting.
I'll help you.
It'll happen. Yes, yeah. It'll happen, babe. It'll happen. Okay, so it's 8:57 and I'm so upset, but we have to round this out. Tori, I have like the best time talking to you. I mean, like, you can tell you're my friend in real life because this has been like so fun. Like,
it's just, I feel like I was like, wait, like, I hope people like learned some stuff because
I know. I'm like, this is the first time I've just been interjecting like so much conversation. Like, normally I'm like, yeah, how do you manifest? What are tips? Any misconceptions about manifesting? Which is like one of the questions I had, and I was like, that doesn't feel authentic to the conversation we're having right now. But okay, so we only have a couple minutes left. So tell people like one last tip that you can give them about manifesting, and then how they can find you after this.
Okay, so one last tip for manifesting is, you know, just kind of, I feel like I said this before, but I think it's just so important. Like, don't wait around. Like, you know, manifesting is very important. Keep like writing your goals, like know exactly what your goals are. Do the Post-its thing. If you don't know what that is, it's basically, you know, speaking things into existence. And, you know, if you want to make $1 million by the time you're 30, not saying that that's a realistic goal for everyone, but let's say you wanted to do that. You know, one of the things that my sister taught me was like, she like wrote 100,000, she had like a $1 bill, and she like wrote $100,000 on it because her goal when she graduated college was to get that 6-figure salary that your parents are always like bugging you about when you go to college. And like, you know, she got to that goal like pretty fast, not to put her business out in the streets.
Come on, sis, let me hold $1.
But like, you know, and it's crazy because now you kind of have to like, you know, the next step is to add that other zero. So she did, and now it's still like, you know, 10 years or whatever later, and it's still sitting on her fridge. So I like I did that as well. I haven't like, you know, reached my goal of $1 million yet. I was like, let me just aim high first. Let me just like manifest, because in the industry you really could like, it's so unpredictable. Like if you believe in an artist, if you work hard, all it takes is one artist, like, you know,
just that one artist to pop, and you can leverage that to so many different places. It's crazy.
Exactly. So, you know, that's something that I do, but obviously what I do is not about money really, as like many music industry people could probably tell you, it's you'll never make enough for the work that you're doing.
You just have to really love what you're doing.
But like the Post-its thing is really great, but also making sure that you're kind of keeping track of everything that you're doing and how it's kind of like fitting into your overall goals. Like that's the whole point of always knowing what your goals are.
Yes, I love that. Let me tell you something. This little clock at the top that counts me down is making me so stressed. So we have a minute left. So with a minute left, I'm just going to repeat the last thing that you said was don't wait around. So for anybody who's manifesting something, whether that's money, whether that's like your dream body, your dream partner, whatever it is, this is a sign from the universe. You are here hearing it for a reason. Don't wait around. Put some action behind what you really want. You can get there. We have a lot of tips on Soul Sister Network. So come to us. We got you on the content, right? But I want to thank you, Tori. This has been so fun. You got to come back. We got to do something else again. And I got to see you soon. Shout out all this COVID stuff. But Thank you so much for joining us, Tori. You have been amazing. Thank you to everyone who has joined us. If you're not following Soul Sister Network and you're coming from Tori's side, please do. We love the engagement. We're all about manifesting and healing and creating your best life. And we just do that together all as one. So again, thank you guys so much. Tori, you are the shit if you didn't know it. Which you already do. Shout out to Derek for joining too, a partner. This is about to end, y'all. Thank you so much. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Or you could reach